Welcome back to Mental Notes with Matt. Today we're talking about something that affects every single one of us at some point in life. Setbacks. The kind that knock the wind out of you. The kind that change you. Sometimes it's the loss of something you worked really hard to build, and sometimes, more painfully, it's the loss of someone you never imagined living without. But whatever the shape it takes, deep loss can leave us feeling disoriented, hopeless, and unsure if we'll ever find our way forward. I've faced moments like this, I'm sure you all have as well. Moments where life felt impossibly unfair. But today I'm honored to sit with someone whose story brings a much deeper understanding of loss and resilience. Jackie McNeill is someone I've known since we were kids. She's walked through unimaginable grief, losing her mother at a young age, and more recently losing her husband suddenly and unexpectedly. Yet somehow she continues to move through life with grace, honesty, and strength. Today, she's joining us to talk about love, loss, and the quiet courage it takes to keep going when everything changes. So Jackie, thank you again very much for being here. I know this is a deeply personal conversation, and I'm just really grateful that you're willing to be open and vulnerable and willing to share it.
Of course.
So you've experienced some heartbreaking losses in your life, and I appreciate you being willing to open up about it. Can you, I guess, to start, share a moment, maybe one that really stands out for you when everything in your world felt like it shifted? What do you remember about how life began to change from that point?
Well, like you said with my mother, when my mother passed away, it was different. I was 26 and I was pregnant with my first son. And so I truly feel like he saved my life
Mm,
because if I was not pregnant with him, I probably would have went down a completely different route. I probably would have drank and made really poor choices. And my mom was sick for a long time, and I think she was worried about me. As soon as my mom found out that I was pregnant, she realized that I would be okay. And she was right. So when my mom died, I was 7, maybe 8 weeks pregnant, and I couldn't go out and drink because I was 26, you were still partying. I couldn't go out and drink and, hide my problems. So I remember I left her hospital room and I went into the waiting room and started chewing on baby carrots. As
mm,
crazy as that sounds, because that was I'm not losing my child as well. So that was my savior. That was the way I was able to grieve. It was more focusing on my future and staying healthy because of him. When my husband passed away, that wasn't where he was sick for a long time. It just happened. He had walking pneumonia. I literally thought he had, the man cold, as they
yeah.
call it. So that was a different type of loss because the fact that, I came home with my younger son and we found him outside, not expecting him to fall and hit his head on a fire pit. It was, again, though, my kids were the ones who saved me. I never took any kind of like anxiety medicine when my mom passed away when I was pregnant, but didn't really need it because I was a little bit stronger because I couldn't let myself go. But I had to go on anxiety meds just for the first year because of my kids.
Yeah.
I couldn't let myself go. I felt myself just falling into this rabbit hole. I lost so much weight so quickly and I was already 95 pounds before he passed away. Quickly went down to 75.
Mm,
If I wasn't taking care of myself, I definitely wasn't taking care of them. So I went back to work after 2 weeks. I said, I can't do this. I have to go. I have to be strong for my kids. I have to show them that, we have to be strong. We can mourn. We can talk about him. It's been 2.5 years. We still talk about him every day. But again, I feel like it really all goes towards my family, my kids. Like that was what truly had to keep me strong. And I'm sorry if I went off. a
No,
rant.
no, not at all. I appreciate you just being really open about all of that. I mean,
Yeah,
it's something that I have no experience with, and it's something that I'm very curious about how people are able to continue
yeah,
to move forward in life when they're hit with things, especially when it's so unexpected. And not to
yeah.
say that it's any less impactful if you
Right,
are aware that it's something that's coming, but
right.
the fact that this has happened to you in multiple ways on multiple occasions and you've been able to move forward, it sounds like what you're saying is that you have taken this pain and the experience and have kind of refocused it to saying, well, I have other people that, that need
Right.
me. And it sounds like that's helped a little bit to turn the tide in those really, really rough moments.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that like I even do it in the healthiest way. Like as you know, like I'm always going out, bringing my kids everywhere, and I feel like keeping us busy doesn't give us too much time to sit and think.
Mm-hmm.
So did we grieve properly? Maybe some would say no, but to us, that's how it works.
I
You
don't think
know?
that there's a right or a wrong way to live through some of these really traumatic experiences. I think it's finding the ways that are going to bring you comfort in a way that you can take the next step forward. And it seems like
Exactly.
you've been able to do that. And I agree. I mean, sitting with it for an extended period of time isn't really going to be serving anyone, not the person that you lost, not the people that
No.
are in your life, and keeping yourself busy and doing things together as a family. It sounds like you were constantly taking them with you. It wasn't just you going out and trying to blow off
No,
steam.
never.
It's like you brought your family with you. And so
Yeah,
you're building experiences and moments and memories from that point forward and
right.
not erasing anything from the past. Like you said, you continue to have conversations, but you don't make that the pivotal point that you start moving forward. It's
Right. And I've always been like an open book about it. I've never went to therapy for it because, now being a young widow, I really don't have anyone to watch my kids. So I really have to like be there for them at all times. I don't have time to go to therapy, which people say, oh, there's virtual, there's this. I've done virtual before. I felt like it didn't really help. I felt like in person would have been better and it just didn't work. So I've always been an open book. I've always talked about it. So, I post things on social media and how I was feeling. And, there were people who were like, oh, I can't believe Jackie's posting what she is.
mm,
And then block me, like you don't have
wow.
to see my stories. But, like, I feel like that helped me.
Yeah.
That helped get it out. You could read it, you don't have to read it, you don't like it, you think I'm annoying, delete me. That's okay. You don't have to to me, I feel like it also helped others who actually been through it. And I feel like losing my husband, not saying that my mom wasn't a hard loss, of course she was. She was my mother, she was my best friend. But losing my husband, I've lost so many people. I've lost a best friend. I've lost my, uncles, aunts, grandparents. Uh, my mom's twin died and it was an open casket. So it was like reburying my mother, seeing it again. But losing my husband, there was no loss like that. And I was actually talking to my friend yesterday. It's weird because when my mom passed, never had a dream about her, nothing, nothing. It's been 2.5 years. I have a dream about my husband almost every single night still.
Wow.
So it's really like this weird, crazy thing. Just the like a person I chose, my best friend who I
Mhm.
thought I was gonna spend the rest of my life with. Will I move on one day? Probably. Anytime soon? Probably not, because it's still that weird way of, even though I know I'm not cheating on him, he's gone, he's like in the afterlife. I still have this weird feeling that I'd be like I'm cheating on him, which I know I'm not. It sounds crazy, but it's still
Doesn't
like,
sound crazy. Doesn't
like,
sound
if the
crazy at
right
all.
person came along, then sure, but, like, I'm not going out there. I'm not going out dating. I'm not gonna go on some websites. Like, if I go to Home Depot and find some guy who has another kid and, like, it just connects, then that was meant to be. Maybe he sent him, but I'm not going out of my way to look because I weird like I said, though, this weird way, I feel like I'm cheating on him, even though
No,
he's nowhere around.
I absolutely understand that, and I don't think that that's crazy at all. I mean, like you said, you made the choice with him to start a life, and the expectation
Mhm.
was that you were going to be together until you were both not here anymore.
Yeah.
And you share a child together,
Yeah.
and you blended families together,
Yeah.
which is also, I mean, these are hugely impactful things. And especially I think when your mind is trained to believe that this is forever, when that's
Yeah.
taken away, that doesn't feel like the forever part is kind of going away. I mean,
Exactly, especially when
I
you're still
totally, yeah,
dreaming about them or talking about them. I talk about them every single day with my kids. They're still like, obviously, we still have family photos on the walls, like, yeah, like, "Oh, hi, you wanna come in? Yeah, sure, this is" it's
yeah,
just not ready for it. Do my boys need it? Without a doubt, they need a male figure, both of them. My stepdaughter would she's, open to me, like, dating again, but I'm just not there yet. Like,
mm,
I don't want that yet, like, she moved back in with us after he passed away.
mm,
She was ready for that. It took her a while because it was weird for her not having him there, but after a year, well, yeah, it was about a year, she moved back in with us, and it all worked out. So it's still like that. It's still weird for me. That's all I could
yeah,
say.
of course. And there's no timeline, I think,
No.
on grief or when things will shift for you, and there
Right.
doesn't need to be.
No. Yeah.
So if it's not too personal or uncomfortable to answer, I mean, after your husband passed away, what was that situation kind of like with you and your kids and kind of navigating that? I mean, you said that you've taken them out everywhere you go, and you have
Yeah.
conversations, but have you been able to have really deep personal conversations with them? I mean, that to me feels like therapy, you know?
So my 15-year-old has not talked about it at all. He
Mm,
was 12 years old, when it happened, or 13 or almost 13. And I took him to therapy, but he literally told the therapist that he's not talking to her and I'm wasting my money. So she
mm,
said I can continue bringing him, but she doesn't think he's there yet. So
yeah,
I
yeah,
stopped because therapy doesn't work for everyone. But he's never ever talked about it. Doesn't really want to, nothing. My stepdaughter, we've talked about it. We talk about him all the time. My youngest son, in the beginning, we talked about it a lot, but he was 3 years old, and like I said, we're the ones who found him outside, my youngest
yeah,
son and myself. So for him, that's unfortunately a core memory that we didn't want, but it will be instinct forever. So we talk about stuff, but not in like it kind of is going away from him since he is 6 years old now.
yeah,
So now in his memory, he was going to Disney World at 4 years old with just my husband and my older son without me. Like, he doesn't have that memory so much anymore. So I just let him have the fake memories
sure.
that he wants. So again, with him, it's hard. And I wanted to put him in play therapy and everything because I see like he has anxiety, he has like this eye twitch.
Mm, of
So, but play therapy isn't covered by insurance.
course.
And as a widow, and he didn't have life insurance, and you still have a $3,200 mortgage and everything else. And you really like, I can't afford play therapy. And I know that sounds like that's a necessity, but I can afford it in reality,
I mean,
you
yeah,
know?
that's the reality of the world that we live in, unfortunately, and it's the
It's like
reality for so many people.
$150. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
for now.
$150 for not even like 30 minutes. Like that's to me insane. So, but he has talked to like his school counselor and stuff like that. And but have we actually sat down and talked about it? Not as much as we should, as I should say.
Why do you say should?
I I know everybody grieves differently, but I feel like my 15-year-old should get it out. Like I said, he's never talked about he didn't even go to the funeral, which people thought I was crazy for as well. I, did not
For allowing him
have
not to come?
yes. So I did not have my 3-year-old go. I did not want him to do that. In my head, it was going to be the My Girl
Oh my goodness, yeah,
scene. So
yeah,
I was like, he can't comprehend that. He's not going. I'm not gonna like see that vision of where his glasses. My husband didn't wear glasses, but that's what I saw in my head.
Right.
That was gonna happen with the 3-year-old. Not happening, not going. And Donovan, I gave the option. I said, you could come to the funeral if you choose not to because you don't want to remember him that way. Nobody's going to judge you. And if they do, screw them. It
Right.
doesn't matter. This is your life. If you don't want to go, Sean's not going to be mad at you. He's not going to be offended. This is how you are going to grieve and your process. And he decided he did not want to go and see him like that.
Yeah.
I accepted that. I was not in the right mind to take care of him
Yeah.
at the funeral. Like, again, I was the one who went to the funeral home by myself. Usually people have a whole ton of people going with them. I was by myself. I didn't have friends come with me. I didn't have family come with me. I had to plan everything myself. And everyone's like, you waiting for anyone else?" I was like, "No." My father-in-law didn't come. My father didn't come. My mother-in-law passed away as well. So it was just me, and I had to do all the planning by myself at 40 years old. It's bad enough I was becoming a widow at 40. Now I'm planning a funeral, my husband's funeral, on my own. People say, "Oh, you have a village." Do I?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, do I? Do I?
Yeah. It
Like,
seems like you've navigated a lot of really tough stuff. Do you think that it's made you a more resilient person? I mean, obviously it has, but do you think it's closed you off more from the world, or do you think it's opened you up a little bit more?
I honestly don't know. I feel like I guess I'm in my bubble of just me and my kids and my closest friends who I consider family. That's all. When I go out to the world, that's all I see. I just see them. I don't see anyone else. I wouldn't say I'm closed out so much to the world, but I don't care what else is going on in the world.
Yeah.
As selfish as that might sound, I don't
No,
care.
it's not selfish at all. Yeah, this is your one life. And what's always struck me about grief is that it doesn't always just show up emotionally. It kind of rewires your whole world.
Yeah.
So, not just in your day to day, but what's changed for you and how you see yourself? Have things changed over time, after
Um,
these major events that made you feel like it's changed you and how you see yourself?
it taught me that I'm a lot stronger than I thought I ever could be or was. Again, like saying, sometimes I come home and like I can't afford someone to mow my lawn. My lawn is 2 acres of land and I'm literally doing a push lawnmower. And, as I'm doing it, I'm, like, cursing my husband out, "You made me buy this damn house," or doing this, when I'm doing my driveway for the snow. But then when I'm done with it all, I'll look at the house and I'll look at my cars, I'm like, "I'm doing this. I'm
Yeah.
doing this. I'm doing it on my own. I don't ask people for help. I don't ask people for assistance. I'm doing it." And I never thought I could figure this out and do it. Like, my all my bills are paid on time. My kids are still living their best life. Are we living paycheck to paycheck? We are. But I'm doing it.
Yeah.
I'm freaking doing it. And
There's a lot of
that
pride
to
in that.
me, yes. And like I said, sometimes it's like I find myself like, "Oh, this is so freaking hard." Like some days I just want to sell the house and I'm like, "No." Like look what I'm doing still for my family. And my father-in-law said to me the other day, he said, most people would have just fell in a hole.
Yes.
Most people would have just moved out and started over. He said, "I'm really proud of you, kid. Like, you are doing it. I am really proud of you. You're young and you have not give up." And I said, "I'm not going to give up. Like, for what? I need to teach my kids." Yeah, no perfect person, no perfect parent. I'll yell at them like if they ask me, "Can you have this?" "No, you want to see my bank statement? This is what I have right now." But, like, they also get it. My 6-year-old, he doesn't get it, he's 6.
Sure.
But my 15-year-old, I'd have to say he gets it so much more than we would have at 15
Mhm.
because we our parents would just give, you know?
Right.
And if they said no, it wasn't like we didn't have to question it, like, whatever, like, "Okay, no." But, like, he understands that I am trying my damn hardest.
Yeah.
And he also understands I don't go out and do things for me. Like I said, I don't have friggin' headphones. They have it all. They go to, like they play sports, they play this, like, but I'm lucky if I go out with my friends 3 times a year,
Right.
and they get that and they respect that. And same with my older, my stepdaughter. She's 22 and so strong. She's such a strong girl, losing her dad at 19 years old. And, she's had a lot of trauma her whole life, but that's not something I'm going into. But she's like an adult. When we were 22, we were drinking and partying. She's not like that. Yeah, she could
Yeah.
move back at home, but she moved out when she was 18. It's hard. As a 42-year-old woman, it's hard to do things on my own. At 22, I couldn't even imagine it.
Right.
So, yeah, again, I went off rant. Sorry.
No, not at all. No, you talk a lot about doing it all on your own, and you said that you don't ask for help, and it seems like you're always kind of doing things for other people. How do you take care of yourself? And is there a reason why you don't want to ask for help? Is it because you feel like experience has shown you that people don't show up for you, or
You know, um, I don't know if it's like a pride thing. Well, I'm not a prideful person, so it's not a pride thing. I don't really know what it is. If I always was the type of person, as you know, I like to give. I like to help others. I've always liked to help my students and like to help, you know, people who were in need. I don't look at myself, as hard as things are, as much as in need as they are. And I don't wanna ask people for help in that aspect because I feel like other people need it more, you know? My kids are going to Disney this year. Did it take me 2 years to pay it off, $150 each paycheck? It did, but I made it work. Like, they have food. I just feel like I'm not in that desperate of a need. I do wanna help my students and other people in need as much, so I do ask others to help in that aspect so I could still help them because I can't help them the way I used to
right?
on my own, but that's what I truly feel like it is. And, there was like I love my father dearly. He helps my sister in so many ways, but I've never asked him for any money. And then there was one time where my car fan wouldn't turn off, and I called him up asking him for advice as, a father figure, a male figure. What should I do? And the first thing that came out of his mouth was, I don't have money to help you.
Mm,
I've never in my life asked you for money. Why would you even think that? Like, how dare you? I'm asking you, what should I do?
yes.
So that to me, again, never asked for help again in that aspect because I was insulted. Like
Yeah.
my father-in-law, I called him, I asked him, his first thing was, I have a mechanic, here's his phone number. That's what I needed. I needed that kind of support. I needed, this is the direction you need to go in. They're cheaper than the, Midas or anyone else. Here, go to this person, they'll help you. That's all I needed. I didn't need money. I didn't need, or like when my husband passed away, like learning how to put the salt in for my well water or dealing with the septic tank or all that. I needed guidance, teach me. And, my father-in-law was like, well, I never had this either. Let's YouTube it. But we learned together. And that I just feel like now that, even like stupid ways like that, just YouTube it.
Yeah.
And again, you went back to like, how do I take care of myself? I feel like I don't, you know, I,
That's
I, I
honest.
don't. Yeah, I don't. I don't take care of myself. My taking care of myself is taking a hot bath for 30 minutes while my kid is watching TV.
That's good
That's
self-care.
my taking care of myself. Yeah, and that's like the only thing. And then I have friends who I love dearly and I don't get mad at them because they don't get it. They're not in my situation, but they're well off financially and they get their manis and their petties and
Mhm.
they'll be like, "Oh, you want to do this?" And I'll tell them I can't. I don't have the extra money. And they're like, "Yeah, I get it. Neither do I." No, you don't get it. You have probably like $50,000 in savings and I have like $11 in savings. You don't get it. Like I really can't. Like
Yeah.
you could dip into your savings and you have plenty of money in your checking account too. No, I can't. I can't do it. Like please don't tell me you get it. And like
Totally.
I get angry with them, but at the same time I don't because they don't they don't get it. Like
Yeah, it
they think they get
seems like people kind of prove you right over time, you know,
yeah,
and it's interesting. You said a lot of really great stuff in there too. That's very relatable. I mean, to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other people also. There are moments in our lives I feel like when someone says something or there's an interaction that crystallizes so much for you that when you're in situations moving forward, you kind of start as at a baseline with that feeling of the way that situation felt in the past. I mean, you were saying like your father, the first thing that came out of his mouth was, you know, I don't have money for you. And that's not the expectation you had. It was more a moment of like, how can you help me to understand what I need to do next? And that can really serve as a way for you to feel like everyone is feeling that way. You
yeah.
know, thinking that you're coming at them for money. And that can really make you feel like I shouldn't ask anything, I shouldn't ask for help. And that's really tough to deal with, the feeling that it's transactional and other people not really fully understanding that you are doing the very best that you can with what you have. And one of the things you
And
were
I know that my dad didn't say that out of in any kind of way of like an insult way.
no, of
My
course not.
father also, he looks at me and I know it again, like he looks at me where he's proud. You know, I'm the one who went to college. I am a teacher. I am doing everything on my own. And he is. He's very proud of who I've become. And he typically knows that like I really don't need help, but at the same time, like I do need help
Yeah.
in many ways other than finances, which finances I need help too. But I need help, you know, like 42 years old, we're still young
Yeah.
to figure life out on our own. Like, you know, we still have a lifetime to go, really. We still have hopefully another 42 years to go and go through this life on our own. And even though we've gone so far, like, you know, you've gone so far, like we've made good choices of going to school and never really quite asking anyone for assistance and like but we still need assistance even when we're not asking for it. It's usually those who don't ask for it need it the most.
I agree with you, and that's what you were saying before. I mean, all of the you're a teacher, you're such a giving and empathetic person, and a lot of the times you say, "Well, I'm not in need as badly as all these other people over here." And I think that that can be a dangerous mantra to tell ourselves over and over because just because
Yeah,
other people are struggling maybe a little bit more than we are, it doesn't negate the fact that we also need to take care of ourselves and we could use support and help along the way. You
yeah,
know, I think it's important for us to tap into it. And I'm the same way, Jackie. I feel the same way. So much of the
yeah,
time, if I get frustrated about something that's going on in my life, I'm like, what do I have to complain about? You know, like
yeah,
I have a good job. I've got beautiful kids. You know,
yeah,
the other stuff is tough and it sucks, but
yeah,
I'm not struggling as badly as other people. But again, you can't negate the fact that you're struggling also. You know, you
right,
can't invalidate the fact that you're a human being also that's having your own life experience and struggling along the way. So I
right.
think it's important to recognize that, you know?
And I feel like grief goes so much more in than just losing a person. You know, it's like not to bring up your stuff, but like when you lost your house with the
Mhm.
flood, that was a grief. That was a form of grief. Divorce, that's a form of grief. That's that person's still there, but you lost the life you wanted and you thought you were going to have forever.
And it's
Grief
interesting that you
is,
said that. It's interesting that you said that too, because when you were talking about losing your husband, you know, he literally passed away. You know, my mindset goes to I got divorced. So your situation obviously so much more traumatic, but also traumatic for me to lose the person that I saw living
yeah,
my entire life with. Think that was
right.
going to be it. And then that, you know, things not going to according to plan, I guess is the theme there. You know, we
Yeah,
all kind of have this idea of how we think our life is going to play out, or at least how we hope it's going to play out. And these setbacks are inevitable for everyone at
right,
different levels, you know,
right.
and people talk a lot about resilience, but it's not something that we just have. It's something that we have to build.
Right.
Um, do you think that there's something in particular that's helping you to build your resilience over time, or do you think that you're still kind of figuring it out?
I'm still trying to figure it out,
What
you
helps you
know?
today?
And you know what? I think that, like, people with it, like, themselves are just like we are our own worst critics.
Yes.
So we don't see ourselves as resilient as other people see us. So to me, it's like, "Oh, I'm figuring it out." But in someone else's eyes, it's like, "Girl, you figured it out. Like,
Mm,
how are you doing this?" And to me,
yes.
it's like, I know I'm doing, like I said, like, when I look at my house, sometimes I'm like, "Damn, I'm doing it." But that's like that moment. It's just a
And
moment.
isn't it weird how we can have those moments and then 5 or 6 seconds later, you can undercut yourself like, "Well, it's not, it's not that great."
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're right
Because
about the self-critique. And you're
that goes
right, there are
along
other
with, like,
people that look at you and say, "Oh my god, I wish I had that life." You
yeah.
know? Yeah,
But, people see the uh, that's why I was always an open book my entire life, you know? So, that's why when I was like, when my husband did pass away, I did put it out there on social media because people don't only have to see the good in your life.
yeah,
People could see that you're hurting and they can connect to that, like, they could be like, "Shit, that reminds me of, my divorce or when my best friend and I stopped talking." Like, or just, when my father passed away suddenly, or people could see that they're not the only ones who are feeling so sad and, like, holding it in. I feel like when you hold it in, it's not good for your inner body. And
100%.
that's why I said I wish my son would talk more, because it's not good. But again, he's 15 years old, he's a boy, he thinks differently than I do. Everybody's different. So maybe it is good for him,
And
you know?
in his own time, you know?
Mhm.
But
And who knows,
this
maybe
is
he
what
talks to his friends, but I don't know.
absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure he does. I'm sure he has some sort of an outlet, but, again, like, therapy is a great way in for some people, and like you said, not necessarily the approach that works for everyone. But
Mhm.
I think connecting in some way, shape, or form with other people is a really great way to reach that kind of catharsis and understanding and compassion. And I feel the same way about wanting to put stuff out there on social media, and I second guess myself constantly putting something out there that might be a little bit too personal. But
Mhm.
I also feel like you, there might be someone that comes across it and feels like, "I resonate with that. I feel like that too. I feel a little less alone because you were able to be brave enough to say it, and
Yeah.
put it out there." You
Yeah.
know?
And that person might have had the worst day ever, but then when they saw that, it might have been like, "Damn, it's not just me."
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
It's just
It's
things
important.
could things will get better,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
Because
That's another
and
thing to
it
think about, yeah.
yeah, it's not like with grief and loss, your life never goes back to the way that you thought it was gonna be. This is your new norm. It's like that meme that I saw years ago that sticks with me forever. You could be the person on the, bus thinking of, like, the worst thing that's happening in life, or you could think about something that's positive that's happening right now or can happen in the future. You gotta stick with being positive because you're the one who makes the choices, and it's not easy. But
It's not
when
easy.
Yeah, it's not easy at all, and believe me, when Sean first died, I was the person thinking the worst. Never, like, any, like, bad thoughts about myself or anything like that, obviously, but because, my kids, I would never do that to them. But just the thought of, like, "This is hard. This is friggin' hard." Like, I truly lost my person. I
Mm.
lost my person, and, but like I said, this is my new norm, and maybe one day at Home Depot, I'll meet the next person, you
Yeah,
just don't
yeah.
know.
Yeah, I think, less searching and more being who you are, and if it's meant to happen, it's meant to happen. That's great that
And
you're open to it.
people probably think I'm crazy, which is fine. I truly feel like everything happens for a reason, and things are aligned the way they're supposed to be if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I was teaching in New Brunswick for 15 years. I decided to just change districts. So I did, and I started teaching in my new district in January. My husband passed away in February.
Mm.
My life wouldn't have been the way it is right now if I was still in New Brunswick because I couldn't get my son from the aftercare because aftercare closed at 6. My staff meetings were till 5. I wouldn't get there till like 6:20. So it was like aligned in some weird way that my life is going to be hard, but it's a little bit easier with the process that I was in. Like, I could still get my son from aftercare. I could still get him to morning care. It was hard, but I could still make all these things work.
Mhm.
So why it was aligned like that, why it was my husband's time, I'll never know. But it aligned up and it was his time. We'll never know why, but, everything was aligned and happened the way it was supposed to be, not the way we wanted it to be,
Right.
how it was supposed to be.
Yeah, I've subscribed to that idea a lot in my life also. The way things go are the way they're supposed to go. Whatever
Mhm,
happens is meant to happen that way. And it gives me a little bit of comfort. Doesn't change the fact that it sucks sometimes. But I
mhm,
think that having that perspective makes it a little bit easier to deal with
mm,
setbacks when they come, you know,
mhm.
knowing that it's not going to be a straight line. And that's kind of the beauty of life too. The fact that
Yeah,
we are forced to adapt and adjust to the things that come our way, regardless
yeah,
of whether you want it or not, you know?
yeah, exactly. And then like with death, it's like people die really 2 times. They pass away when it's their time of death, and they pass away when the last person who ever knew them stops talking about them,
Mm,
And,
mm,
that's one thing we'll always talk about him, and we'll always keep him alive in that aspect,
yeah.
And hopefully my grandkids one day, they won't know who he was personally, but they'll hear about him so much that they'll talk about him too and keep him alive even longer.
Mm.
Like that's how I see life.
Well, that's beautiful and really nice. And now, I mean, we live in a world now, social media and our camera phones, there's so much more rich documentation of these moments and life too. Sure that you've got lots of stuff there too, but yeah, that's really beautiful. So I mean, just before we wrap up, I have one last question. If someone's listening right now and they're in the middle of like the thick of something really terrible that's happened to them, losing a loved one or just anything that's been, traumatic for them or feeling hopeless or defeated, is there anything that you would say to them?
Like I said, everybody grieves differently, but my personal grief helps with talk.
Yeah.
Talk, just talk. Talk to your loved ones. Don't be ashamed if it, you know, don't be embarrassed of how you're grieving, and you will heal. Will you heal fully? Maybe not, but you will heal enough where life will get better again. It won't ever be back to the way that you wanted it to be, but it's still going to be a beautiful, perfect life. You just have to get used to the new norm, and that new norm is just going to be just as beautiful. Just give it time. Time truly does heal. It's not your time could heal in a day, your time could heal in 2.5 years, 10 years, 20 years. But it's not like you're going to be sad for those 2.5 years, 10 years, 20 years. You're going to feel better each and every single day. And don't feel bad about that.
Yeah.
Don't ever feel bad about feeling happiness again when your loved one is gone because they would never want that ever. I don't know if there really is an afterlife. I really don't know if there's a heaven. We'll never know. I like to believe that there is. Like to believe there are signs. I like to believe in the spiritual thing, but not everybody believes that. Believe what you want to believe. But your loved one, if you believe in science or you believe in spirits or you believe in religion, your loved one while they were here on this earth would never want you to continue your time here on earth sad because of their loss.
Yeah.
You have to remember that.
I'd like to believe that that's a universal truth for everyone
Mhm.
that's passed away. No one wants the people they've left behind to sit in a dark room and and just be sad for the rest of their lives. Well, Jackie, thank you so much.
Sorry, I rant. I
No, no,
rant
no, no,
a
no.
lot.
This is exactly the whole point of doing this podcast is to let people tell their truth and their experiences. Because again, I feel like there are so many people out there that relate to the nuance of each individual person's life story. And
Yeah,
even if they can't directly relate to it, they relate to the feelings behind it. You know,
exactly.
the under the surface stuff. It's
Like
really
I said, in
important.
all aspects. Like even like I'm sure like you losing your home, that had to been like, you finally got yourself a house and then this bullshit happens.
Yeah, it
Like
was a divorce
that's
followed by working my ass off after pulling myself out of depression, getting all that
yep,
money together, and then spending 2 months shaping it up, and then overnight,
bam.
like
Yep.
it's like, what's the point of even trying? Like that's
Mhm.
the mentality that kind of creeps up is what the hell is the point? And that eventually fades inevitably
Yeah,
because
it
you're
does.
alive. You got
Yeah.
to keep moving forward. And
Mhm.
that's the thing I try to remind myself of now. And you were saying before also about it's easy to get pulled into the negative, but you have to find the way to be positive. Our brains are so amazing at taking the information you give it and
Yeah.
that being the reality of the thing. So the more you speak to yourself in a negative way, the more your body's going to react to that and be hurt. The
Yeah.
more positivity you feed it, the more likely things are going to be turning around for you.
Yep.
It sounds a little bit woo woo sometimes when I'm talking about it, but that manifestation I think is very very accurate. Um,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
if anything, it makes you feel a little bit better by being in a more positive frame of mind. I'm teaching myself that every single day, and I have to push back on the negativity I feed myself all the time.
Oh,
But
I
I
do
think
it
it's
too
worth
though.
it.
We
Yeah,
all
I think
do.
it's worth it.
Y Yeah, I do it all the time. Like even, like my 6-year-old does it all the time. Like I'll say, "Oh my god, what did he say?" I don't know, but he was like putting himself down today because he was so my 6-year-old looks like he's like this controlling narcissist right now, but
Mhm.
in
He's
aspect
six.
yeah,
Oh,
but
that
in real
tracks.
well, but in the real aspect of life, like people have to think deeper. He's been through a lot at a young age already. Now, he's got this quote unquote girlfriend. And he got so upset yesterday when they were at this church camp because she threw the ball to another boy and not him. How dare her throw this ball to another boy? And now, like, so I sat down and talked to him yesterday and I said, Liam, are you really upset that, she threw the ball? Or are you thinking so far ahead, like, if she goes to this other boy, you're gonna lose her like you lost daddy. You're gonna lose
Oh,
her forever.
yeah.
And he said, yes, I don't
So,
wanna lose her like I lost daddy. But to everybody else in the room, he looks like a friggin' spoiled asshole
yeah.
trying to, like, just angry because he didn't get his way because his girlfriend is throwing the ball to another boy. It goes way further than that. He's 6. He doesn't understand boyfriend, girlfriend. He's afraid he's gonna lose this girl that he truly cares about to someone else where
Yeah.
she's gonna go away and never see her again.
It's a great example of how the outside world tends to size people up without knowing
Mhm,
the nuance of the person's life and their
mhm,
experiences and what brought them to that mentality. And sometimes it's unconscious, sometimes we behave in a certain way because it's so deeply rooted in
mhm,
the experiences you've had in the past. And unraveling all that stuff, I think, is truly some of the
and
hardest work that people have to do.
I'm guilty of it. I judge
Me
people
too.
all the time. I
Me
try
too.
not to, but
Me too.
I'm human.
That's right.
I'm
At the
human.
end of the day,
I
we
was
have to give
judging
ourselves a
my
break.
son.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
judging
Of
my son at
course.
the moment. "You're fucking embarrassing me." I'm thinking in my head, "Will you just stop?"
Yeah.
But then, like, I had to sit down and think about it and be like, "What's really going on? There's something way deeper for you to feel this way at 6 years old."
Yeah. And you know what? A lot of people don't even get that far. They don't sit
Yeah,
with it. They make the judgment and they move on with their lives. And that is the truth in their mind. And
yeah.
that's not the truth, I think, more often than not.
Agreed,
You
agreed.
know?
Every single one of us has some kind of deep, dark root, like, we all have gone through shit. Every single person on this planet. Maybe it wasn't as hard as mine, but to them it was.
Yes.
To them it was. To them it was harder. Like, I think back of, like, the Chad Bennington from Linkin Park. Like, his music, he was amazing. Like,
Incredible.
still upset that he passed away. But now as an adult and you actually listen to his music, this man was depressed his whole damn life,
Yeah.
and
There
nobody
there are
else.
signs, there are clues with all of these big people that we admire growing up. I mean, you think about people like Robin Williams also,
Yeah.
um,
Mhm.
and just so many people that have this hidden depression, this
Mm,
severe weight on their shoulders, and yet they continue to give and give and give. And you're
yep.
right, and in retrospect, when you go back and you start to listen to that stuff a little bit more closely, it's like, wow, we missed that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think that's another reason why it's really important to be authentic and like you say, talk to people and connect,
Yeah.
and bring that stuff to the surface, and don't be afraid or ashamed of it. More
Yeah.
people are struggling
Be
than we think.
be open. Like, I've always been that open parent where I'm never, "Oh, yeah, my kids are amazing, it's peaches and cream." No, my kids are assholes just like your kids.
Yep, yep.
Like, I've always been open. Like, and people like that about me because I'd be like, "You know what? If you ever have a hard day because your kids are being assholes, you can reach out to me because 'cause I'm not that one." "Oh, no, not my kid. My kid wa" "Well, my kid sure as hell did, and he heard it from me." Like,
Yeah, 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 yeah. You're just being
I've
real, man.
always. Yeah, you have to be real.
Well, thank you so much for
Mhm.
showing up with such honesty, vulnerability, and strength. Your story is obviously filled with heartbreak, but it's also filled with a lot of resilience. And hearing the way that you continue to live and to parent, to show up for your kids and your family, to love, even after everything you've been through, it's a really powerful reminder that there's no one way to grieve and no set timeline for healing. So, for anyone listening right now who's navigating loss, whether it's the loss of a person, a relationship, a dream, or even a sense of who you were before, please know this: you are not alone. The storm you're in right now doesn't get the final word. And if all you've managed today is getting out of bed or taking one small step forward, that's not nothing. That's
Mhm.
enough. That's something that matters. So I'll leave you with this mental note. The storm may change you, but it doesn't erase you. What's left can still be whole, just a different kind of whole than before.
Yep.
So until next time, take care of your mind, be kind to your heart, and keep going. Thank you so much, Jackie. I really appreciate you
No,
joining me.
thank you. Thank you.